Hi guys, I hope you had a good weekend. I'm sorry I missed you yesterday with all the rain. I had some flooding in my backyard that I had to take care of, so that just got me busy and I didn't get to it. But I'm going to pick up where we left off. Last time Little Bear had gotten hurt. The horse had kicked him while he was in the box, and so Omri had brought a toy soldier back to life. That was a medic, which is kind of the person that gives first aid in the military. So this chapter 5, is called Tommy. Omri felt himself grow weak. What an idiot he'd been not to have realized that the man and not just the medical bag would be changed. Or had he? After all, what did he need more just then than a bandage of the right size for the Indian? Someone of the right size to put it on. And unless he was sadly mistaken, that was just what was waiting inside the magic cupboard. He unlocked the door. Yes, there he was, pink-cheeked, tassel-headed under his army cap, his uniform creased and mud-spattered and blood-stained, looking angry, frightened, and bewildered. He rubbed his eyes with his free hand. I forgot to show you guys, there's a picture of little medic there with his medical bag inside the cupboard looking up. Praise be for a bit of daylight anyway, he said. What the? Then he opened his eyes and saw Omri. Omri actually saw him go white and his knees gave way under him. He uttered a few sounds, half curses and half just noises. He dropped the bag and hid his face for a moment. Omri said hastily, "Please don't be frightened. It's all right. Then he had an absolute inspiration. I'm a dream you're having. I won't hurt you. I just want you to do something for me, and then you'll wake up." Slowly, the little man lowered his hands and looked up again. "A dream, is it? Well, I should have guessed. Yes, of course, it would be. The whole rotten war's nightmare enough, though without giants and..." He stared around Omri's room. Still, perhaps it's a change for the better. At least it's quiet here." They mentioned he was a British soldier, so I'm kind of doing an accent with it to kind of bring the story to life a little more. "Can you bring your bag and climb out? I need your help." The soldier now managed a rather sickly smile and tipped his cap in a sort of salute. "Right you are, with you in a tick," he said, and picking up the bag, clambered over the edge of the cupboard. "Stay on my hand," Omri commanded. The soldier did not hesitate a moment, but swung himself up by hooking his free arm around Omri's little finger. "Bit of a lark, this is," he remarked. "I won't half enjoy telling the fellows about this dream of mine in the trenches tomorrow." When they say the dream of mine in the trenches tomorrow, that means where they're actually fighting the war. Trenches are like a ditch, and if you've watched movies or anything, you'll know that they dig sometimes those deep ditches for the soldiers to hide in. Omri carried him to the spot where Little Bear sat holding his leg, which was still bleeding. The soldier stepped down and stood knee-deep in the carpet pile, staring. "We'll all be jiggered," he breathed. "An Indian! This is a rum dream and no mistake, and wounded too. Well, I suppose if that's my job, is it, to patch him up?" "Yes, please," said Omri. Without more ado, the soldier put the bag on the floor and snapped open its all but invisible catches. Omri leaned over to see it. Now he really did need a magnifying glass, and so badly he did want to see all the details of that miniature doctor's bag that he risked sneaking into Gillen's room. Gillen always slept late, and anyway, it wasn't even 7 o'clock yet, and pinching his from the secret drawer. By the time he got back to his own room, the soldier was kneeling at Little Bear's feet, applying a neat tourniquet to the top of his leg. Omri peered through the magnifying glass into the open bag. It was amazing. Everything was there. Bottles, pill boxes, ointment, some steel instruments, including a tiny hypodermic needle, and as many rolls of bandages as you could want. Omri then ventured to look at the wound. Yes, it was quite deep. The horse must have given him a terrific kick. That reminded him, where was the horse? He looked around in a fright, but he soon saw it, trying forlornly to eat the carpet. It must get some grass, thought Omri. Meanwhile, offering it a small piece of stale bread, which it ate gratefully, and then some water in a tin lid. It was odd how the horse was not frightened of him. Perhaps it couldn't see him very well. "There now, he'll do," said the soldier, getting up. Omri looked at the Indian's leg through his magnifying glass. The wound was bandaged beautifully. Even Little Bear was examining it with obvious approval. "Thank you very much," said Omri. "Would you like to wake up now?" "Might as well, I suppose. Not that there's much to look forward to except mud and rats and shells coming over. Still, got to win the war, haven't we? Can't desert. Not even into a dream. Not for that long, that is. Duty calls and all that, eh?" Omri gently picked him up and put him into the cupboard. "Goodbye," he said. "Perhaps sometime you could dream me again." "Oh, I said that wrong. That was Omri." "Goodbye," he said. "Perhaps sometime you could dream me again." "A pleasure," said the soldier cheerfully. "Tommy Atkins, at your service. Any night except when there's an attack on. None of us get any sleep to speak of." And he gave Omri a smart salute. Regretfully, Omri shut and locked the door. He was tempted to keep the soldier, but it was just too complicated. Anyway, he could always bring him back to life again if he liked. A moment or two later, he opened the door to check. There was the orderly, bag in hand, standing just as Omri had last seen him at the salute, only now he was plastic again. Little Bear was calmly pulling on his blood-stained leggings. "Good magic," he remarked. "Leg feel good." "Little Bear, what will you do all day while I'm at school?" "You bring bark of tree. Little Bear make longhouse." "What's that?" "Iroquois house. Need earth. Stick posts in." "Earth? Posts?" "Earth, posts, bark. Not forget food. Weapons, tools, pots, water, fire." There were no quarrels at breakfast that morning. That word right there, quarrel, you don't hear it a lot in America, but it's an English word that kind of means like a fight or people getting upset with each other. I think about when my kids sometimes when they're around each other in the car, and you guys might do this too, your brother's just annoying you or your little sister or big sister, and you guys just start arguing with each other, and that's kind of like a quarrel. So I picture Omri and his brother sitting at the breakfast table like, "Oh, don't look at me. Leave me alone. No, I want that cereal." You guys can probably imagine what that sounds like. There were no quarrels at breakfast that morning. Omri gulped down his egg and ran. In the greenhouse, he found a seed tray already full of soil. Well pressed down, he carried that secretly upstairs and laid it on the floor behind the dressing up crate, which he was pretty sure his mother wouldn't shift even if it was her cleaning day. Then he took his penknife and went out again. Fortunately, one of the trees in the garden had the sort of bark that came off easily, a silvery flaky kind. He cut off a biggish strip and then another to make sure. How long was a longhouse? He pulled some grass for the horse. He cut a bundle of thin, strong, straight twigs and stripped off their leaves. Then he went back to his room and laid all of these offerings beside Little Bear, who was seated outside his teepee, apparently saying his prayers. "Omri!" came his mother's call from downstairs. "Time to go!" Omri took out of his pocket the corner of toast he'd saved from breakfast and cleaned out the last of the corned beef from the tin. There was some corn left as well, though it was getting rather dry now. He filled up Action Man's beaker with water from the bathroom, pouring a little into the horse's drinking lid. The horse was munching the fresh grass with every sign of enjoyment. Omri noticed its bridle had been replaced with a halter cleverly made of a length of thread. "Omri! Just coming! The others have gone. Hurry up, you'll be late." One last thing. Little Bear couldn't make a longhouse without some sort of tool beside the knife. He'd need an axe. Frantically, Omri rummaged through his biscuit tin. A knight wielding a fearsome-looking battle axe. It wasn't right, but it was better than nothing, and it would have to do. In a second, the knight was locked in the cupboard. "Omri! 1 second! What are you doing?" Crash! The axe was being used on the side of the cupboard door. Omri wrenched it open, snatched the axe from the startled hands of the knight, who had just time for one horrified look before he was reduced to plastic again by the slamming of the door. Never mind. He had looked the most unpleasant, just as knights must have looked when they were murdering the poor Saracens in Palestine. I'll have to look that up. I have no idea what that means. Omri had very little time for knights. The axe was a beauty, though, shining steel with a sharp edge on both sides of the head and a long, heavy steel handle. Omri laid it at Little Bear's side. Little Bear, but he was still in a trance, communicating with his ancestors. Omri supposed, well, Little Bear would find everything when he came to. There was quite a trail of spilt earth leading behind the crate. Omri flashed down the stairs, grabbed his parka and his lunch money, and was gone. And that was chapter 5. We'll pick up on chapter 6 tomorrow. I read a little extra today since I wasn't able to read yesterday, so we'll pick up with chapter 6 tomorrow. You guys stay home and stay safe.